So it's been a while since I've made a video, and today I thought I would rectify that by bringing you an update to my Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc FTK deck. We've recently had a new ban list, which has all but killed Tearlament, and we've also just received the new set Photon Hypernova, which has made some significant changes to the way that Tri-Brigade's Lyrilusc FTK can be played going forward. In this video, I'm going to talk through the deck that you see on the screen right now. We are on Dueling Book because I don't actually own the cards from Photon Hypernova, and I also find it a little bit easier to go through combos on Dueling Book than in person. It's a little bit easier for you to follow, and it's a lot easier for me to do just recording my screen like this. So we're going to go through the deck, and then we're going to go through the combos, and we're going to talk a lot about the tech choices and how I see this deck working going into this new format. So we'll jump straight into it with the core of the deck. So we're playing 3 Turquoise Warbler, 3 Cobalt Sparrow, 1 Blue Sapphire Swallow, and 3 Bird Call. This is all the Lyrilusc cards we're playing. There's a nice tight package of 10 cards. The better version of the FTK combo is opening up Turquoise Warbler and Cobalt Sparrow. The other combo is opening up Fractal and any other beast, wing beast, or beast warrior monster. So this combo is a lot easier to get to, but this combo of Turquoise Warbler and Cobalt Sparrow is a lot more resilient to hand traps and allows you to build a board if you are interrupted. So this is kind of the best opening hand you can get in the deck. So we're maxing out on Turquoise Warbler and Cobalt Sparrow. We need to play Sapphire Swallow as a combo piece, and Bird Call obviously gets us to Turquoise Warbler and Cobalt Sparrow. Going on to the Tri-Brigades, we're playing 3 Fractal, 3 Nerval, 1 Kit, and 1 Keras, as well as 3 Tenki to search the Fractal. As I just said, one of the combos is to open Fractal and any Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster. So maxing out on ways to get to Fractal is essential for the consistency of the deck. And we also want to be playing 3 Nerval because it links really well with the Lyrilusc monsters, being a level 1 Wing Beast monster. It is searchable off of Recital Starling, it is special summonable off of Sapphire Swallow, and playing multiple copies of this allows this combo to be a little bit more resilient because if you get like ashed on your Cobalt Sparrow or impermed on your Cobalt Sparrow or something to that effect, you have a higher chance of opening up the Tri-Brigade Nerval, which is always your first search target. So you want to max out on this one as well. 1 Kit and 1 Keras. You could play more copies of Keras, and I'm considering doing so, but at the minute this is a tight 40 card list that I'm quite happy with. But if I was to add any cards to this list, it probably would be the second Keras, just for grind game sort of scenarios, and Keras is one of the better extenders you can play in the deck. But at the minute I'm just playing 1 and just trying to focus on getting to the FTK as consistently as possible, and Keras doesn't do that on its own. 3 Tenki obviously searches the Fractal. We're playing 1 Tri-Brigade Revolt. This is something to fall back on when your combo is either stopped, or if you don't open the FTK combo and you just open up like Tri-Brigade players. Tri-Brigade Revolt is still a fantastic card, and it's searchable, and it's both disruption and follow-up and presence on the board all in one. It's a fantastic card, and I would never cut it from the FTK list, even though it doesn't actually assist the FTK in any way. We're playing 3 Small World and 1 Dinotherium. This is regular for Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc lists because you can go from any of your Beast, Beast Warrior monsters through Dinotherium to any of your Beast, Beast Warrior monsters. This is essential in this list, I would say, because it adds the extra dimension to be able to search the Turquoise Warbler, because Fractal can send your Kit to send your Nerval to search your Keras, but Fractal can also send Cobalt Sparrow, which means you actually have 9 copies of Cobalt Sparrow in the, well, 12 copies actually when you count the Bird Calls of Cobalt Sparrow in the deck, but you only have 6 Turquoise Warblers in the 3 you have and the 3 Bird Call. Playing the Small Worlds adds an extra 3 copies. Technically, you have to open up a monster to do this. With the Small Worlds, obviously, reveal first. But being able to get the Turquoise Warbler is essential when you're trying to do the better version of the FTK. So I find this, like, it's necessary to play. And Dinotherium's a fantastic bridge, and it's also just a free extender. Like, there's no harm in playing this, really. And it's an easy side out going second, which is quite nice. The core of the FTK is we're playing Rescue Ferret, which we try to search off of Tri-Brigade Shurake, and 2 Telephons and a Cannon Soldier, which are summoned off of the Rescue Ferret. This is how we're killing our opponent on turn 1. It may seem like a lot of bricks, and like you might be worried if you open them, but you can open up to 2 of these Telephons and Cannon Soldiers and still be able to do the combo. If you open up all three, well, you're just bad, and you shouldn't play FTK decks, because how are you opening all three of these? We're playing one Call by the Grave, one Ash, one Bell, one Ghost Mourner and Moonlight Chill, one Nibiru, and one Effect Veiler. Call by the Grave is obviously to stop hand traps, and these are going second cards that you can play, which also assists Small World because you want to up the monster count so Small World is usable more often, as well as being targets for Crossout Designator, which are in the side. I've chosen these specific hand traps mainly because they hurt the deck, like a Ghost Bell late onto a Telephone really hurts. Ash Blossom can be quite bad if it's on like the Shureg, so these are the sort of combo cards you want to be stopping. These can obviously change depending on what cards are being used more in the metagame. Like, if our predictions are correct in what we think the best deck is going to be next format, being Kashtira, then you'll probably be saying a lot of Nibiru, so that's probably a card that you want to be playing in the main deck for your cross-deck designators. Maybe move your cross-deck designators to the main deck if Nibiru is seeing a lot of play. But a lot of people seem to be thinking that going second and board bracket cards might be better than hand traps traditionally against Kashtira, which makes a lot of sense. Cards like Evenly Match and Book of Eclipse are really good against that deck. And if that's the case, then there are less hand traps in the metagame. You can actually shave these cards out for better tech options to ensure that when you do go first, you can FTK more consistently. Cards like Triple Tactics Talent, Prosperity potentially, and those sort of cards to get to your combo more consistently. At the minute, I'm playing these cards because it both assists the Small World and their cross-out designator targets. We're playing Ghostlight, Moonlight Chill, and Effect Veiler because they assist you in bridging from hand traps to Turquoise Warbler specifically. And yeah, that's basically why we play these hand traps. I would like to be able to play more going second cards in this list, but at the minute I've opted to play Thrust from Photon Hypernova, which is the new Triple Tactics talent card, which allows you to set a normal spell or trap directly from your deck if your opponent has activated a monster effect during this turn. I think this is going to be really good for this deck because it gives you a second win condition when your opponent interrupts you. Like, if the metagame becomes significantly Kashtira heavy, then you are going to be expecting to see a lot of Dimensional Shifter. And obviously for a Tri-Brigade deck, that is really scary to see, because you need a lot of cards in your graveyard to resolve your Tri-Brigade effects. Shifter is a card that your opponent is going to activate very early in the combo, which means you'll be able to activate Thrust and search for Harpy's Featherstorm. If you haven't read Harpy's Featherstorm, I'll read you the card now. If you control a Wind Beast monster until the end of this turn, negate any monster effects your opponent activates. So this card is essentially Cold Wave, I guess. So like, your opponent can't activate any monster effects for the remainder of the turn you activate this card. So let's say you go, oh, I'll special summon Turquoise Warbler and I'll use the effect to special summon from hand. Your opponent activates Shifter because they know you now can't Gamma them. You special summon your Cobalt Sparrow, you're under Shifter. Do you keep going for the combo? Well, no, you can just overlay for Assembled Nightingale, activate Thrust, search for your Harpy's Featherstorm, and the combination of Assembled Nightingale and Harpy's Featherstorm means you're not going to die, your opponent's not going to put up a board, which means you're going to be able to kill them on the crackback. Which, just this secondary win condition that you can get off Thrust is amazing, and Thrust also acts as a going second card, which will allow you to search for your cards like Evenly Matched, which are in the side, or maybe even in burn, if that's more relevant by Pilot Magic, and it would be relevant. Or you can search Engine with it going second when your opponent actually controls a monster, something like a Bird Call, or a Small World, or even Revolt if you've opened up the Harpy's Featherstorm, which is really cool. So that is the engine which I think makes this deck even better going into next format, especially if Kashtira is the best deck and people do go the route of playing blowout going second cards. It could be the perfect storm for this deck being even better than it was last format. Because the reason I played this deck last format is because the hand traps were pretty much non-existent other than Shifter, because Tearlament could play through about 17 of them. And that was what allowed this deck to shine for myself at locals and a few other people who have picked up this deck from watching my videos on the deck, which is quite cool. I'll quickly run over the side deck. I mean, it's not that important, but Cross-Deck Designator is obviously here. Games 2 and 3 are when you're more likely to see hand traps if the meta does shift in a position where board breakers are better. So it doesn't really make sense to main the Crosshair Designator, especially considering Crosshair was such a bad card going second traditionally. Like, I would rather play Thrust, which will get me to a secondary win condition, or possibly Engine going second, than Crosshair Designator in the main. We've also got the Shifter, Imperm, and Lancia in the side deck as additional targets. Lancia could see some play against Kashtira, so it's just something to consider. And the rest of the cards are like, oh, I don't like back rows, we'll play Cosmic Cyclone, and then evenly matched in Book of Eclipse for pretty much everything. Like, a Book of Eclipse seems to hit a lot this format, really. But mainly Kashtira, and evenly matched obviously hits Kashtira, and it also hits back row decks, which is quite nice. We'll go over the extra deck. We are playing one Abyss Dweller, one Zeus, one Assembled Nightingale, one Ensemble Robin, one Recital Starling, not two. There's no need to play the second one. We're not trying to go for like a Draco Future Dragon or anything of that kind. Recital Starling, we just need one to be able to search our combo pieces. One Actus Code Talker, one Double Dragon Lords, one Appaloosa, one Bearbrum, two Ferrigite, one Rugal, two Charade, and one World Sea Dragon Z Atlantis. The main reason this combo was possible, because obviously Rescue Ferret negates the effects of the monsters it summons, but if you make World Sea Dragon Z Atlantis and banish all the monsters on the board and special summon them back, those monsters come back with their effects, because they were no longer special summoned off of Rescue Ferret. Quick notes on this extra deck. You have to play two Charade because you use one in the combos, and you need to play the second one for breaking boards when you don't have when your combo gets stopped, or just like in general grind games and those sort of things. Like, you might want a Charade to clear a threat, do some damage, and then you go and search for Revolt, and you need the second Charade to be able to protect yourself and kill in the follow-up. Two Ferrigi is probably one of the best Tri-Brigade names. You want to play two because there's some positions where you'll get hand trapped. You'll want to link off like your Ferrigi and your Nerval for another Ferrigi to search for a Fractal to continue your plays and those sort of things. Rugal, arrows for Rescue Ferret. Bearbrum obviously searches Revolt, Appaloosa. Pretty much whenever you get hand trapped, you can always fall back on Appaloosa if that's Revolt, so you need to be playing Appaloosa. Double Dragon Lords, very rarely summon it, but like, it's an option, especially when you don't open up combo. And having an option that can potentially bounce some floodgates is also really important. Access Code Talker, killing when you're going seconds. Abyss Dweller and Ensemble Robin are for really late hand traps. Like, if your opponent holds an Imperm for whatever reason, for your, say, Cannon Soldier, like, they know what you're up to, and they go, oh, I'm just going to Imperm your Cannon Soldier. You can turn, like, a Cannon Soldier and a Fractal, which you search off the Nerval, to go into an Abyss Dweller, and you can use the Telephons to make a Ensemble Robin. And you also end up with, like, you also end up with Revolt, Appaloosa, and like a DDL. So like, you build like an unstoppable boards, even if you don't have TK, which is quite nice. So that's everything I need to talk about the deck. We're going to jump straight into the combos, and we're going to start off with Warbler plus Sparrow. So to do this combo, we're going to start by special summoning our Turquoise Warbler and using the effect to special summon Cobalt Sparrow from either the hand or graveyard, depending on where it is. And we're going to search for a Tri-Brigade Nerval. We're then going to overlay our two birds to make Recital Starling, and we're going to use the effect to search for a copy of Sapphire Swallow. From here, we can use Sapphire Swallow to special summon both itself and the Tri-Brigade Nerval, ensuring we don't special summon the Nerval to the middle zone to not block the Ferrigite arrow, as you can see here. We're going to link off the Recital Starling in the blue to go for Ferrigite, and then we're going to use the Nerval to banish the 4 cards in our graveyard to special summon a copy of Charade. From here, we can link the Charade off for a World Sea Dragon Z Atlantis, considering it requires 1 material, and this allows us to trigger the Charade to search for a level 4 or lower Beast Warrior Wing Beast monster, which is Rescue Ferret. We can then use the Ferrigite to special summon the Ferret, and then link off our Nerval and our Ferrigite for a copy of Rugal. If we had one of Telephon or Cannon Soldier in our hand, we could then use the Ferrigite here to shuffle back that piece to ensure we can special summon it off the Rescue Ferrets. But in this case, obviously we have no cards in hand, so we're just going to use the Nerval effect to search for a Fractal. From here, we can use the Rescue Ferret effect to special summon a Telephon, a second Telephon, and a copy of Toon Cannon Soldier from the deck. And we can use the World Sea Dragon Z Atlantis effect to banish the entire board, and then special summon everything back in any position we choose to summon in. We always want to end with these link monsters co-linked to each other here, because Wild Sea Dragon Sea Atlantis has a second effect where it can pop during the battle phase up to the number of co-linked monsters on the field. Not really relevant for the FTK combo, but it's good practice to continue summoning these monsters co-linked like this. From here, we have the combo. We can use Cannon Soldier to trigger the Telephone, then use the Telephone effect, roll the dice, doesn't matter what you get because you can never roll lower than 1, special summon back the Telephone, and then use the Cannon Soldier to tribute the one that's used the effect, and just repeat this process 16 times until you've killed your opponent. So that is the first combo. Something you'll notice is we don't use our normal summon in this combo. That means that if we were to get Nibiru'd at any point, we can just normal summon our Fractal, banish through the Barabrum, link off, and then search for a copy of Revolt, which is quite cool. The second combo is Tri-Brigade Fractal plus any other Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wind Beast monster. In this case, I've used Sapphire Swallow because it's the one that does the least in the deck. So we are going to start by using Fractal's effect, and we are going to send Kit, send Nerval, and add Keras to our hand. And then we're going to discard the other Beast, Wind Beast, or Beast Warrior monster from our hand to special summon the Keras, which puts 4 on our grave, which allows us to banish all of them to summon a copy of Shuraig from the extra deck. From here, we can link off our 2 monsters and go into a copy of Babrum, and trigger the Shuraig effect to search for a copy of Rescue Ferrets. For this combo, you do need 2 other cards in hand, because we need to use the Babrum effect, discarding 2 to special summon out either the Kit or the Nerval, and use the effect to banish 2 from our graveyard to summon a copy of Ferrigit. This Ferrigit will allow us to special summon this Rescue Ferret, and then we can link off the Kit and the Babrum to special summon a Rugal to this zone over here, which gives us 3 zones to special summon out our Telephone, and Cannon Soldier. From here, we can link off our Ferrigit and our Rugal to go into Wild Sea Dragon Sea Atlantis and banish the entire board once again, and then special summon our monsters all back with their effects. At this point, you can see that we have the loop, and we can use the Tomb Cannon Soldier to tribute off the Telephone to revive Telephone, Cannon Soldier to tribute off the Telephone, and repeats ad infinitum, killing our opponent after 16 iterations. So both those combos are quite simple. Like, this doesn't take a lot to learn. These combos are really, really simple and doesn't really like burn you out doing the combo all over again. Like, I can remember playing like FTK combos which had like 35 steps and were inconsistent as all hell, and I'd just be tired by like round 3 of a local tournament, let alone like a actual regional or like a YCS or anything like this. This is a deck that you can play and it kind of just plays itself, which is really, really nice for like long form tournaments. We'll click back to the deck now that you understand the combos and like what the deck is trying to do. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry it's been such a long time since I've actually uploaded any content. Me and the team have some fun ideas for content we can bring going forwards, and you can expect to probably see that in the next like couple of weeks to a month, depending on how long it takes us to set up. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.